If you're frustrated in your relationship, there's distance between the two of you, you feel hopeless, you feel stuck, it's not because something's wrong. It's because you haven't learned what successful couples know that most people never figure out. And once you hear these 4 secrets of successful couples from this video, your marriage is going to be different. The first is that the problem is never the problem. We fight about all kind of things except the thing that we need to fight about. We argue over not picking up after each other and picking up this and picking up that and who's getting the kids from here and who's getting the kids from there and parenting and we don't have enough sex and we have too much sex and you only want sex and then all this stuff about the money and you spend money and you want to save money and all your mom and your dad and my mom, your dad, this family, and we argue over all these little things, not little things, but things, when we don't say, I feel disrespected, or you don't see me, you don't hear what I am saying to you. Like the internal thing that is driving the frustration never comes up on the surface. We fight about all the symptoms. And so these arguments happen and we try to fix the argument and then we leave because leave the argument feeling like, okay, maybe we got some resolve, but really we just ended the tension because one of us got tired of fighting before the other one did. Yet deep inside, we still carry the same frustrations. We still carry the same hurts and the same hangups. There's all kinds of ways around this, but one of the things that I would encourage us to consider is a tactic my wife and I would started doing back in, I don't know, when we started, a long time ago. We would go to Saturday morning coffee dates. Now, this is how it would work. Throughout the week, whenever I would get frustrated about something or she would get frustrated about something, we would write down on the little notes app on our phone, Sassy didn't take out the trash. Not that my wife takes out the trash, I do, but just as an example. And I would write down, all the 10 things I was frustrated about that week. Then we would meet up at PJ's Coffee. I would get a straight espresso and a chocolate muffin, and she would get an oat milk latte. And we would sit down and we would look at the list. And ironically, the list didn't even really matter. It was like 7 things on the list that we didn't even care about, which a lot of couples fight about all week long. So like right off the top, like that didn't matter. So now we look at the 3 things that are left and we say, why was I mad about this? Asking ourselves this and really try to get to the heart of it and then present it and say, you know what? I got frustrated this week and here is why, and try to really address the problem. Now, the reason we're doing it at the coffee shop is because we're preachers and preachers can't be fighting in coffee shops. So we're not going to yell at each other in public and be like, yeah, blah, blah. We do the little, the pastor yell. We'd be like, hey, praise the Lord. Good to see y'all. Yeah. Right. So we fight civilly, I think, in public. That's what I want to encourage, some type of incorporation of this technique where you find a space and you find a time and you get intentional and you sit and talk about what the actual problem is. You cannot do that when you ramped up and you all mad about something stupid that you think is worth halfway destroying your marriage for because of the emotional deregulation that's happening inside of you. You need to do it strategically and go to the drawing board and figure out the problem is this and address the problem, because successful couples know that the problem is never the problem. Number 2, compatibility is created. Where we're just different now. We've grown apart. Okay, well, if you've grown apart, you can grow 2-part. Shakespeare made up words too, don't judge me. Because yes, she grows and changes. And yes, I grow and change. But we have the ability to still share those parts of our lives with each other. And just because she doesn't do exactly what I do, and I don't do exactly what she does, doesn't mean we can't weave our lives together and make our lives work as a couple. There are ways about going through this. For example, I love jiu-jitsu and MMA. I go to class. My wife ain't come and do jiu-jitsu with me. She ain't going to join my gym. That's okay. When I come home from class, she says, how was class? When I go compete, she comes watch me. When I tell her I might get a belt, even though I go to a bunch of promotions and I still don't get my belt because, it's a struggle to get that belt, but she comes watch me not get my belt. She supports me. She's a part of it, even though she doesn't care about MMA. It's a part of me and she enjoys being a part of my life even though she doesn't like that particular thing. Compatibility is created. I don't like real estate. I like stock. Stock doesn't have leaky toilets and fussy tenants and all these. It's just easy. You just buy the stock and don't sell it. It's not that complicated. Houses, man, these YouTubers be lying. Oh, get $1 million by Friday by buying this property. Man, that's too much work. My wife loves real estate, loves it. She watches real estate shows when she's not driving around looking at real estate and when she's not dreaming about real estate. Like, my wife's a real estate girl. Fair enough. I'll fix a couple houses for her. She my boo. I do it because I love her, right? Compatibility is created. We work together and navigate life together and incorporate each other's likes, even though I don't like and she don't like everything that the other one likes. That's okay. We don't have to be the same person. We just have to be on the same team. Number 3, marriage is a mirror. I have heard in our coaching sessions at the company, I'm just not happy no more, so I'm going to go find myself and I want a divorce. You what? I'm not happy. Where did you get the idea that marriage is intended to make you happy? Marriage ain't intended to make you happy. Marriage is intended to show you what's off about you that makes the other people in your life unhappy when they're around you. But nobody gets close enough to you and loves you enough to tell you about that except the person you married. And now you mad at God's blessing in your life. God's blessing, answering your prayers. When you say, God, I want to be like Jesus. And then you act unloving, even though Christ is loving. And your spouse says, you don't love me. And now you get mad. Well, isn't that a mirror reflecting that God's pointing out that you haven't followed through with the prayers you've been praying? Marriage is not intended to make you happy. Marriage is intended to make you better. Marriage is intended to reflect God's relationship with you, with the church, and to show you how to become like Christ. That is why it talks about a man loving his wife like Christ loved the church and sacrificed and gave himself for her. Like, it's all about becoming selfless, not she doesn't give me what I need in my selfishness. He doesn't complete me anymore. I'm not fulfilled in this marriage. I can't find myself. Well, go figure it out. Not separately, though. Like, marriage is to reflect back to you what you don't see in yourself because of your blind spots and because of your ego and because of your pride and because you think you got it all together and you think you're just Mr. Perfect and you think you're Mrs. Right until you get with somebody who points out that you're not. Marriage is not intended to make you feel good all the time. That's what dating does. Marriage is intended to make you feel truth and to address it because marriage is a mirror. Number 4, couples don't fall out of love. They fall out of forgiveness. Love is a choice. You can, of course, yeah, you're going to feel in love. You're going to feel the euphoria whenever you're dating. It lasts about 2 years, give or take, and then the feelings wear off. And yeah, you can try to cultivate that, but like, that's not the point. The point is not to be in love. The point is to love by choice. And love keeps no record of wrongs. What haunts marriages is that they build up this accumulation of debts that are owed. You hurt me here. You said this. You did that. And it accumulates and accumulates. And then 10 years later, you look back and you got 137 things that y'all haven't sorted through. And you got all this weight. And then now you get to the argument part and you start throwing out what this happened and that was said and this. And then you want resolve and you want payback. You want somebody to take ownership and fix this and change this and all. And like, that's a lot of things to get through and a lot of things to sort through. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's justified. And I'm not saying not have boundaries. That's not what I'm talking about. I am saying when you got 100 things to forgive and you keep carrying that, your marriage is falling out of forgiveness. And you can't carry that kind of load into happiness and into success and into fulfillment, into whatever definition you want to put in front of what it means to have a good quality marriage, because the load is too great. You can not be in love and figure it out. I ain't saying you can't love. That's different. I'm saying you cannot, however, not forgive each other and figure it out. You are two flawed human beings. You both make mistakes. You both hurt each other. And you will probably hurt each other more than anybody else in your lives will hurt you. because the relationship allows for that type of depth of hurt. So, falling out of forgiveness is a recipe for disaster. Falling out of forgiveness leads to divorce. Falling out of forgiveness leads to pain and misery and resentment and bitterness. Couples don't fall out of love, they fall out of forgiveness. And healthy marriages aren't found, they are made. And these four concepts, the problem is not the problem, the compatibility is created. Marriage is a mirror, and couples don't fall out of love, they fall out of forgiveness, or your blueprint to making your marriage successful too.